comment,
and subscribe for more content.
Where's the notification bell?
It's to the right of you.
Oh.
Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Podcast. I am DK Wrestler.
And I am MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, we got a little bit to talk about, I would say. There isn't as much Funko Pops as there usually is this past week, but we do have a couple of segments also. We have our usual What's the Haps segment, but we will also be discussing about the semifinals of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the NHL, considering I don't think really there will be any other time we're going to be able to, because I think the next time, if we had another time to talk about NHL, I think the Stanley Cup champions would already be determined by the time we'd be able to talk about it, considering that next week on the podcast, in case anyone forgot, it is our fandom related podcast on Sonic the Hedgehog, and then followed by that we have a top 10 list of June 2021 Funko Pops, and I feel like the week after that we'll be discussing about San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, so it'll be a little bit before we even have some sort of other segment. But anyways, we do have this week's Funko Pop announcements, like I mentioned, which range from June 7th to June 11th. 7-11-11, come to Pizza. Hey. Not a sponsor of the podcast, but I thought I'd throw that in. Anyways, we might as well kick off with our segment of What's the Haps, which those brand new to the podcast, it's basically a segment where we talk about what we've been doing this past week, whether it's playing video games, whether it's watching movies, TV shows, etc. We'll start off with MD Shady like usual. What's the Haps with you?
What is the Haps with MD Shady? So now that here in Ontario, patios are back open, I have been working a lot more than normal, I guess. Well, what is normal nowadays, I guess, is kind of a big question. I've been working more now than I have been for the past year, let's say. And it's good. It hasn't been too bad. And patios are open, so I have been going out to some patios recently to have a couple of ginger ales, as we'll call them. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun. I've been having a pretty good time for the past few nights. Still golfing, not as much, obviously, because I'm working, so going golfing in the day is getting harder to do. I guess now for TV shows that I've been watching, I really think there's only been one that I've been watching, and that is The Simpsons. When I get home from work, or let's say a patio or whatever, or I have some spare time to watch something, I'm usually kind of just throwing on The Simpsons recently. I haven't been thinking of, oh, what should I watch? Because it's kind of just I'm going to fall asleep watching this kind of show. But besides that, yeah, like I definitely need to start watching Loki because I've heard only good things about it so far. And I've been going swimming in the canal, which is not something I normally do. But it's been nice. The water's been nice. So I need to buy a pool. I'm planning to buy a pool because I'd prefer not to swim in the canal. I prefer a pool setting. So I will be setting up a pool in my backyard soon, and hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. Movies, I don't really think I've watched any movies recently either. And also I haven't really been gaming besides playing Pokemon Go. That's a daily thing, whether I play for 5 minutes or I play for an hour. Pokemon Go definitely opens up on my phone at least once a day. So what is the haps with you, DK?
All right, so with me, I have been watching Loki, and speaking of Loki, the new episode dropped today as we are recording this on Wednesday. I still got to watch that. I've been busy with a couple of things earlier on today, but I also have been watching The Bad Batch, and I cannot recommend it enough. This past Friday's episode, or I should say last week's episode as this gets released, episode 7, was probably the best episode of The Bad Batch in my opinion yet. So it's kind of cool of how this storyline's going, especially we're almost at the middle of the season now, I'm guessing, or series, because there's 16 episodes, I believe, and this Friday's episode is episode 8. So we're about at the halfway mark of Bad Batch. And I won't go too much about my opinion of the series of Loki because we are going to be discussing about the Funko Pops that got announced for Loki. So I'll mention it there on my opinion of the series. And I didn't think I would ever say this on What's the Haps, but I have been shredding Fortnite recently. I can't believe it myself. I have been shredding Fortnite with good old Robbie D and a couple other people also. And I'm actually not as bad as I thought I was going to be. Pretty decent. Last night I watched Raya and the Last Dragon because I know that's free now on Disney Plus and not through Premier Access. And it was actually a better movie than I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a horrible movie. I thought it was going to be like a pretty decent where like I would only watch it once and that's it. I could see myself watch it again at some point. And the last thing I've written down is Demon Slayer. I actually was scrolling through Netflix and they actually have Demon Slayer. So either they must have just added Demon Slayer onto Netflix, or it's been on there for a while, but somehow I wasn't clicking the right letters and typing out the right words to search it up. But I watched the whole series. There's only one season, so it was pretty easy to get through 26 episodes within a few days. I felt like it was a little tough to get into at first, but once you're like halfway through the series, I think it gets really intense, in my opinion. Really interesting storyline. Characters are cool, like Inosuke, the guy with the boar head, funny as hell. Love that character. Anyways, the next segment will be the NHL playoffs. We're talking about the semifinals now that we're finally in, and four teams remain. Getting pretty intense. And I think, regardless of if it was these four teams or the teams that they'd faced to advance into the semifinals, I think NHL actually made it clear that the semifinal bracket would be Western Division against the Northern Division, and then Eastern versus Central due to the league standings. So the teams we do have left are the Vegas Golden Knights, which are essentially the Western Division champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, which are the Eastern champions, or actually, no, that's the Central champions. The Eastern champions are the New York Islanders, and then the Montreal Canadiens are your Northern Division champions. So pretty crazy. So I guess we can talk about, I feel like, who is least likely to most likely have a chance to actually become the 2021 Stanley Cup champions, which I might as well start with myself just because of my least knowledge of hockey compared to MD. I'm going to say my least likely probably will be the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know why. I kind of want them to advance into the finals just because if they advance into the finals, then we can have a normal, what would be Eastern versus Western finals instead of potentially for the first time, technically an Eastern versus Eastern finals, if you were to think of it as conferences instead of the divisions. I'm just thinking possibly Fleury will choke like he kind of did when he was in the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next team, I'm going to say Montreal, only because I do realize that Carey Price is a pretty good goalie right now and he's helping the team go forward. But at the same time, I feel like Montreal has made it this far because they faced pretty weak teams, in my opinion. Like, they faced the Toronto Maple Leafs, which blew a 3-1 lead. And then they swept the Winnipeg Jets, which I think a lot of people agreed that they didn't even think the Winnipeg Jets were going to make it past the first round. So I think it was very easy. And I think that's almost the same case with the Tampa Bay Lightning, which I'll get to right now, which I think might be the second most likely current Stanley Cup champions. But they've gotten it pretty easy. They've had the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes, which are, I wouldn't say they're great teams. I wouldn't say they're bad teams, but I wouldn't say they're great teams either. And then I'm going to say the most likely to win is the New York Islanders because they've already defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins and they defeated the Boston Bruins, two pretty elite teams. And I will mention, yes, Washington Capitals are an elite team also. I'm thinking for some reason, in my opinion, though, so I just realized with the way I ranked everything that like my two most likely are going to be in a semifinal match right now with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders. So maybe realistically, I should not switch it, but I got to think of who would most likely win of each of the semifinal match. So Montreal or Vegas. I will actually say Vegas only because I feel like if Montreal wins the Stanley Cup and their 25th Stanley Cup, I think we might be in a fourth wave of the coronavirus pandemic. And then New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think as of this recording, they're tied right now in the semifinals, and Vegas is winning 1-0, I believe. I'll just say for the heck of it, Vegas and New York Islanders in the finals. And I think the New York Islanders will win the Stanley Cup.
The Montreal Canadiens, I think, are the least likely to make it, I guess we could say, to the Stanley Cup finals. They're huge underdogs coming into the Canadian division. I think a lot of people would agree. We didn't really expect this. The Canadiens have a good team and they have a very good goaltender, of course, in Carey Price. But I think beating Toronto really boosted their kind of mentality going towards the playoffs. I mean, that was a pretty good series. Unfortunately, Toronto did lose, who I did have picked to come out of the Canadian division. But of course, they are the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the playoffs just aren't their game anymore. They went through Winnipeg very, very quickly, obviously, with that sweep. And I did not expect that. I thought it was going to be a very tough series. Winnipeg has a decent team, and I thought that it would probably be a game 6 or a game 7 series. And I think either or team could have took that one, but the Canadians surprised us and came in with a huge sweep. And now, of course, they are facing the Vegas Golden Knights. They are down 1-0, and the last game was a 4-1 win for Vegas, which is pretty big considering with playoff hockey. They play again tonight in their second game, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Canadians won this one, but I don't think they're going to win this series. I think Vegas is going to win this series. And then I guess my third team, the second team I will talk about will be the Islanders. The Islanders are great. They're a young, fast team. They have Barry Trotz. Of course, he led Washington to their Stanley Cup victory, and then we kind of parted with him because money issues, I guess. He's a great coach, and he really coaches the Islanders well. And obviously, they've made it this far, but the Lightning are a very, very strong team. So it's hard to say. The third one I guess I'll get onto is the Lightning. They are very, very good. Obviously, they are a very much so elite team, maybe even the best team in the NHL right now. They're defending champions, so obviously that's a good thing going into the playoffs because you make your team that you're facing a little more timid because, this group of guys just won the cup last year. They could very easily do it again. But I honestly think that it might be the year for the Golden Knights. I think this is their fourth year in the NHL. And obviously with their first year, they made it all the way to the finals with the Caps. Thankfully, the Caps had won that series and took in the Stanley Cup, but they have a really good team. Marc-Andre Fleury is arguably the best goalie of the last 15 years, I'll say. They got Alex Tuck. He's really good. The list goes on and on. They're a very elite team. It's almost like when AEW started and they just started kind of drafting all of these wrestling superstars and just created this all elite team. And it's the same thing with the Vegas Knights. They have so many great players, and if they can keep doing what they're doing, if they have a strong series with the Canadians, I think they could easily beat either the Islanders or Tampa Bay. I would love to see a Tampa Bay and Vegas final where Vegas takes it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Okay, so to basically end this off, you predict Vegas versus Tampa in the finals with Vegas going over. And then I predict Vegas versus New York Islanders with the Islanders going over. Pretty interesting. We'll see how this turns out because it's been a very unpredictable Stanley Cup playoffs this year, to say the least. Before we move on to the Funko Pop announcements, here's a special message. Are you looking for great pop protectors? Then look no further than popbox.ca. They have a variety of 4-inch and 6-inch protectors in different quantities. Do you want to get 10 protectors, 20? You can get even up to 250 pop protectors over on popbox.ca. And also use our promo code of Funko Popcast for 10% off of your entire purchase of pop protectors. The code is going on until supplies last. So go get your pop protector needs now over on popbox.ca using our code of Funko Popcast to get 10% off and also free shipping over $75 in both Canada and the US with duty fees included.
And let me tell you guys, we're not just screwing around here. These are some great pop protectors. We own a multitude of these protectors. They are some of the best I've seen. Stop buying from EB Games. I'm not boycotting EB Games by any means, but their pop protectors are not as good. So again, use code Funko Popcast for 10% off.
All right, so now we're going to move on to this past week's Funko Pop announcements, which range from June 7th to June 11th. I know there's some pretty sweet Funko Pop announcements that got announced this past week specifically, such as the new wave of Pokemon Pops, but those will actually be discussed in 2 weeks in our top 10 Funko Pops of June 2021 list after the Sonic podcast gets released. But anyways, let's kick off the first announcement that happened on June 7th, a set of Loki Pops, which we got ourselves Loki and Mobius, which these are expected to release as early as August 2021. Then Funko had announced a Funko Shop exclusive Black Light Ghost Rider Pop Rides, which of course this sold out on the Funko Shop within probably half an hour, and it is also since sold out on Pop Culture's website also. Funko had announced an Amazon exclusive artist series Goofy, which that is available for pre-order now and is expected to release as early as July 2021. Then on June 8th, Funko had announced a 10-inch variant of Soundwave from the Retro Toys Transformers lineup with tapes, in which this will be an EB Game slash GameStop exclusive, and this is expected to release as early as August 2021. On that same day, Pop Culture had announced two exclusive pops, which one of them is Inuyasha with Karara from, of course, Inuyasha, and then we have a silver metallic skeleton Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, which, if I were to predict this correctly, I think both of these will be Hot Topic exclusives in Canada and the US. And these are available now on Pop Culture's website with restricted shipping, unknown yet of when these will be releasing in North America. Then on June 9th, Funko had announced some pops for Pan Am. We have four Pan Am stewardesses, which we have a normal variant, another version with a white bag, one with a blue bag, and then a Funko Shop exclusive version with a white bag, which these are expected to release as early as September 2021. On that same day, Funko had confirmed on the Funko app of a Funko Shop exclusive metallic iron Patriot for the Avengers Endgame lineup, which it's unknown of when this is releasing. Then on June 10th, Funko had announced a Skater Freddy Funko Pop, which this is available for purchases over $65 and above on any Funko Shop orders, in which this is available until supplies last. Then Funko on that same day announced a pop of Aaron from The Walking Dead, which this will be a part of the next Walking Dead supply drop subscription box, in which it is available to order now. Then on June 11th, Funko had announced a set of pops for the animation Gotcha Man, which we got ourselves pops of June the Swan, Joe the Condor, and Ken the Eagle, which these are expected to release as early as October 2021. On that same day, Funko had announced a AAA anime exclusive of Renegade Sasuke, which has its own 1 in 6 glow in the dark chase, which this is available for pre-order now and is expected to release as early as August 2021. And then the last pop we're going to be discussing about, and it's actually the second week in a row that this podcast will end with a brand new Webley pop from the Everett Aqua Sox, which this is a pop of Webley as a back catcher, which this is available at various Aqua Sox home games. So, kicking off with the Loki pops, which I guess this is where I can talk about my opinion of the Loki series without really spoiling anything for MD, who hasn't seen the series yet. I think it's a pretty good series, honestly, especially one episode in. I feel like there's not a lot of, I guess, both Disney, Pixar, and Marvel series, I guess I could say, where I feel like the first episode like really grabs your attention and want to watch the series more. So I think that's a really good thing, especially watching WandaVision, where I feel like it took a couple episodes to actually like the series. It couldn't get you right on that first episode, but Loki really did. And the character of Mobius is actually played by Owen Wilson, which is pretty awesome. And he does a really great job with this character. And overall, the whole storyline so far is pretty cool. And I'm excited to actually watch episode 2 probably after recording and editing part of this podcast. But yeah, the Funko Pops overall, I should mention, these are some cool Funko Pops for just being essentially human characters. The Black Light Ghost Rider Pop Ride, which this thing is sick. Ugh. I actually ended up ordering this on Pop Culture's website, and I think I actually got a email today stating that it has shipped, and I think it's on its way to Canada, which I'm very excited to, I guess, open it up on a future YouTube video because it's such a cool looking pop. And just, I've seen photos of people using the black light on it, and it looks great. I think this may be probably the best black light pop that Funko has made yet, in my opinion. I just think the way that the colorway is overall is executed really well with where each of the colors are. Not only is it cool out of the box, but even the box art for the outside is wicked too, because you have that cool black light box where you basically don't see a speck of white unless it's in the lettering of the Ghost Rider name or in the Pop Rides logo, essentially. Then we got the Artist Series Goofy, which, like, kind of getting sick of these artist series pops. This Goofy's okay. I mean, you got like Goofy's hat in like different colors as part of the artwork on this, but it's like I don't know how many people are actually buying this for Funko to really continue this lineup. Like this is becoming the new like colored chrome pops of this day and age. Like it's just I'm getting sick of it. The 10-inch sound wave with the tapes for the retro toys lineup, which this thing is really interesting, not only because of the detail, but I'm really curious about the whole tapes because I've seen different photos of the pop and it does come with these tapes, but I'm curious, are you able to remove the tapes that are on the chest there with the three different tapes that are added to this Funko Pop? Or is it just like little added collectible details? I'm really curious about that. I think it would be really cool if you're able to switch up the different tapes, but it is what it is. Not that bad of a pop, honestly, for it being a 10-inch pop. Then we have Inuyasha with Carrara. This is pretty cool. You kind of have a 2-for-1 deal here where you have, or sorry, Pop and Buddy bundle, as I'm probably supposed to call it, where you have Inuyasha and you also have Carrara, or however you pronounce the name, that already has its own Funko Pop. And it's pretty cool. I think they did a pretty decent job with this. The detail overall is really cool with this Funko Pop. The Skeleton Gerard wave, the silver metallic, or I think maybe even pop culture actually posted it as platinum metallic. Why did this have to be made? Honestly, I don't know. This is so weird with Funko making these like silver metallic pops, not only for like Pokemon, but for music now, because there's also this and then a pop that I know is out, but I'm waiting for Funko to kind of post it on like the Funko app or something to confirm it so we can talk about it. Is Notorious B.I.G. being sold as like a limited 5,000 piece Hot Topic exclusive that's silver metallic. And I feel like I don't understand why people are wanting to get these. I mean, maybe to flip it on the secondary market and get some money off of it, of course. But I just overall, these aren't looking really great at all. I don't even know really the point of them even making it. Then we got the Pan Am Stewardess Pops, which these are okay. I mean, I felt like they shouldn't even made the Funko Soda to begin with, and now they're making not only 2 Funko Pops, not 3, but 4 Funko Pops, one of them being a Funko Shop exclusive. And I feel like for sure these are going to be shelf sitters at my local EB Games. And I feel like that Funko Shop exclusive is going to be a Funko Shop exclusive that is going to be a site sitter for a while there. So I don't know how many people are really interested in these pops. Then we got Iron Patriot, which I think is actually pretty cool, honestly. Even though they've made so many Avengers Endgame pops at this point, I think it's cool that there are still a select amount of characters that they can do for such a huge movie. And the Iron Patriot's really cool. They haven't made an Iron Patriot since, oh, wow. It's one of the earlier Avengers waves. I don't know if it's like Civil War or Age of Ultron or one of those Marvel MCU movies, but this one looks really nice and pretty decent compared to the original one. The colors look really nice, and I can see a lot of people getting this. This might actually sell out once it launches on the Funko Shop. Who knows? Maybe it already is on the Funko Shop as this gets released on the Friday. Then we have the Skater Freddy Funko, which is pretty cool that you can get this if you purchase more than $65 on the website. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people don't purchase that, especially when a Funko Shop exclusive drops because of that fear of missing out, where they would only go and get, let's say, 1 or 2 of that pop and not even go for other pops on the website because then the pop might sell out in their cart. So I feel like a lot of people don't get that $65 and up during a Funko Shop day. But if you're not getting any pops during a Funko Shop drop and you're just normally going through a website, because normally a lot of times some Funko Pops release on the Funko Shop website before they go into certain retailers, then I guess it's a good time to maybe like buy a set of 4 pops for a certain wave of pops you might like. And then you can get a free Freddy Funko Pop with it. And then with a lot of the Funko Shop drops now, I think they give you like stickers with it of certain characters. I'm kind of curious of what this pop would be selling on the secondary market with people getting this and then trying to sell it. Aaron from The Walking Dead, this is all right. I mean, it's another Walking Dead pop. I'm probably not going to get it, obviously, because I have not seen the series of Walking Dead, nor do I collect the pops, obviously. I don't know really the importance of this character, whether he's like a main character or he's a side character, but it seems like at least it's not a repeat of, like, let's say, a Daryl or Rick Grimes that they could be repeating for this lineup, and that it's some other character, in my opinion. Gotcha Man. I feel like I've heard of this and seen of this, but I just don't recognize it right away. And that might be because of the Ken the Eagle character I might recognize this from. The pops look pretty decent. The Ken the Eagle looks pretty cool with the way his cape is. And I guess that's almost the same thing with the, what is it called? Joe the Condor also. These are some pretty decent pops. I think there's mixed hype because not a lot of people really care for Gotcha Man, or it's like the usual, when is this going to drop on the Funko shop, instead of, talking about the pops that are actually presented to you at that time. Then we have the Naruto Shippuden Renegade Sasuke Pop AAA anime. This is all right. I mean, at least they made the chase and common kind of different in a way where, I mean, it's glow in the dark, but also they switch the hand so that he's holding like that lightning or bolt of energy, whatever he's holding in his hand there, that also glows in the dark. But of course, it is blue. So I know for a fact it's not going to look the greatest unless you take a lot of patience to go and charge this up. And also, I guess, looks like the eyes might glow from what this glam shot is showing. I don't know. But I think there is a pretty decent hype towards this pop. So I guess that's a good thing. And then we got ourselves the Webley as Batcatcher pop, which it's another Webley pop. They did say there's going to be 5 of them. And I think this is the third or fourth. I've lost count at this point. I think it's the third out of 5 pops. And I think this actually is the best one out of all the ones they've done so far.
Starting off with these Loki pops. These are pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't watched the first episode yet, and I definitely need to get to that because I definitely do want to watch this series. One thing is that the Loki pop looks like the coach of the Mighty Ducks in the new Mighty Ducks Game Changers series. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the stance, and he kind of looks a little arrogant, I guess, in this pop, but this definitely could be, they could just like remold or not remold this, but they could repaint it and it would definitely look just like that character if they were to do a lineup of Mighty Ducks Game Changers pops. But both of these pops are all right. I mean, they're nothing super fancy, but obviously I haven't seen the first episode yet, so I don't know exactly what the whole Loki series is about. And then we have the Blacklight Ghost Rider, and this thing is amazing. Unfortunately, I did not buy it. And because of that, more recently, probably 3 or 4 podcasts ago, I said I was going to collect all of the Marvel Blacklight Pops. And I think I am putting that on halt because now there's some Blacklight Pops that are just getting pretty expensive. And there's already things that are higher up on my wish list that I would like to buy. For example, the OG Simpsons set, which is very pricey. And that's something I would want more than these Blacklight Pops, even though I'm a huge fan of these Blacklight Pops. I only own the Spider-Man, and I would love to own this Ghost Rider, maybe if I could find it for a good deal, and then maybe eventually get that Carnage. Then I might one day work myself up to hopefully collecting all of these Blacklight Marvel Pops, but for now, I am definitely going to be halting that mission. Then we have the art series Goofy, and I agree 100% with what you said about this kind of being the new Chrome Pops, because really we don't see Chrome Pops a whole lot anymore, which is good because they weren't amazing. But now we're seeing these, and I would say that these are potentially worse in a sense. Chrome Pops are kind of cool because you can collect the colors, and it's a lot of like very iconic characters like the first thing that comes to mind is Batman or Star Wars characters. But these art series is just like, this is all right. This Goofy one's all right, but it's not art. I guess this is not really art. If you really think about it, and I don't mean to offend any of the designers or anything if they were to listen to this podcast, but this is just a purple Goofy with different colored hats on them. It's not like they drew every hat out. It's one clip of a hat and it's just colored differently and kind of just splattered around this. It's not art. It's not like those Star Wars Boba Fett future pops. These suck. And I really hope that Funko kind of either amps these art series up where for some reason they're a whole lot better than they are, or they just stop doing them because I'm getting sick of it and I keep hoping that we'll see some good ones, but I'm not seeing it. I don't know if any of you guys love these or not, but me and DK definitely are not fans of the art series so far. And then we have the 10-inch Transformers pop. And yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed up this pop pretty well. This thing looks good. My biggest thing about it is he going to have a kind of removable chest plate where you can put those tapes in, or are they kind of just there to sit around? I think the one that is already on the pop would look the best, but I also think it would be cool if you could kind of customize your pop in a sense without it being like a DIY pop, which we haven't really seen in a while. And I would like to see some DIY pops come back into play. Then we have Inuyasha with Kiara, and this is a good Inuyasha pop. I mean, there hasn't really been any bad Inuyasha pops, and maybe it's because it's more of a fresh kind of anime pop line that we've been getting recently. But this is good. I mean, if you don't want to buy just a Kiara pop, you can get this one. Like, you could probably just buy this pop and potentially be satisfied with an Inuyasha set, especially if you're not a huge fan. So this is good, and I do agree that this is probably 100% going to Hot Topic. The Platinum Skeleton Gerard Way. I hate this, but I also don't mind it. At first, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is stupid. But I don't think it looks terrible. I think it's one of the better metallic pops, or platinum pop as they're calling it. And I think maybe that's just because the skeleton face on him still kind of pops out with the way the different colors are. But I don't know. Pop Rocks just hasn't been great recently. And this is definitely not going in a amazing direction either. Then we have the 4 Pan Am stewardess. This is all right. 4 of them is a little much, but I can see what they're doing. I mean, there's obviously some different cultures in there. None of them are exactly the same, so that's good. I really like that it's not like a basketball line or a baseball line where it's just a different head sculpt and they're literally all the same. They're a little bit different, so that's all right. But it's not really the ad icons that I think the majority of Funko fans really want to see right now. I mean, there's such a list that goes on and on and on of what we could see that people would really, really like. And when you think of ad icons, I don't really think you think of Pan Am that much, but I could be mistaken. I could just be uncultured with Pan Am and their airlines. And then we have the Iron Patriot, and I really enjoy this pop. I think this thing looks really good. I like the way that the colors kind of blend nicely, which sometimes with Iron Man pops they don't do, but with the Iron Patriot, I think it looks really well. I like the pose, and obviously, it has been a long time since we've seen an Iron Patriot, and I do believe this probably will sell out on the Funko shop. Next up, we have the Skater Freddy, and I really enjoy this pop. I wish I could order from the Funko shop because I want to get this, so now I will have to buy it, unfortunately, on the secondary market. But that being said, it's a free pop, which I would assume has not so limited pieces. I would assume there's a decent amount of this, so I don't think it'll be very expensive. I think the most this will go up to is maybe 40 or $50 Canadian, if that. I think this will probably set it around $30 Canadian for a while. I would like to get this, and it would probably be my first Freddy Funko in my collection. I do have a couple gripes about it, though. I would like to see either that brim on the hat be completely flat rather than kind of like a baseball hat, or just backwards, like a backward snapback on him. The attire as well isn't amazing. Obviously, they're kind of going for a kind of California skater vibe. But when I think of a skateboarder, I don't really think of, oh, we got the elbow pads and the knee pads on and shorts and stuff. When I think of a skater, I would think of like maybe some jeans, whether they're black or blue or whatnot. And then maybe like a hoodie. The Funko HQ shirt, that's all right. But this also isn't even a Funko HQ exclusive pop, so it's also kind of weird in that sense. But overall, I do like this pop and I would like to own it. And then we have Aaron. This is weird because when I first saw this, I thought it was maybe some kind of version of Merle Dixon, obviously because of that arm that looks to be cauterized. And if you guys know The Walking Dead, Merle definitely loses an arm and cauterizes it himself. So that's kind of what I thought this was. I don't know this character because I'm getting very far behind in Walking Dead. It's just not something that I've been eager to watch recently. Back when it first came out, I loved it, but now it's kind of just meh, in my opinion. This pop's all right, though. This looks good, and I really love the kind of photo that they've used with this, with the backdrop. I mean, it looks like it's coming straight out of The Walking Dead, which is good, and it makes the pop look better than if, let's say, we just had a random colored background for it. And then the 3 Gotcha Man pops. These are cool. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Gotcha Man is a fairly old show. Like, I believe 70s, I think it came out in. I've never seen it, but I do think there'll be some decent hype about these. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw them sitting on shelves at our local EB Games. Then this Sasuke pop. I like this. It's not one of the best pops we've seen from Naruto because obviously there's been some really great ones, but it's decent. And I think that the idea of the kind of energy or lightning or whatever in the hand like that, and obviously having somewhat of a remold of the body is good for this chase, because if it was just glow in the dark, I think this would be not the best. But I also do think this is going to sell well. Obviously, Naruto pops sell really well, and I think a lot of people are going to want that glow chase. And last but not least, we have the back catcher Webley. The last time we talked about the Webley pop, I said that that was the best one, and I still stick with that. I think this one is very nice, and it's good to see something different, but I think I liked that last one we talked about better than this one. But it is cool. I mean, the back catcher pose is awesome. I mean, he's got all the gear on, which is really nice. This is probably going to be the second best, but who knows? Maybe the next one that we see might be really, really awesome, because this is definitely pretty cool.
All right, guys. So that is going to be the end of this week's edition of a Funko Popcast. If you enjoyed this week's podcast, make sure you smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and let us know your opinions of these Funko Pops from this past week. Press the subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do on this channel in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. And if you guys haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Podcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this week's podcast, and hopefully you guys are here next week for our fandom-related podcast, specifically titled Gotta Go Fast, the Sonic the Hedgehog podcast. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Well, gosh. Peace in, peace out.